Hello everyone and welcome back to this blank wall. I'm usually filming at my place, but I'm currently visiting my parents, so I am back to the blank wall that you guys came to know and love at the turn of the year last time I was here. It does feel like something's missing though. So a few weeks ago I made a video about Sarah Brightman, and in that video I very briefly mentioned this. Sarah Brightman honestly fascinates me. Is it the fact that she has a sister who's 20 years younger than her who tours regularly with a Gregorian chant group called, very creatively, Gregorian? So after I discovered this, I was consumed with curiosity, and by that I mean I googled it like one time and found some weird shit, so here we are. So as we all know, the world is full of famous people. And believe it or not, those famous people are actually related to other people. And sometimes in the world of famous families, it'll work out for everyone, you know, like the Partridge family or like 3 out of the 4 Jonas Brothers. And sometimes we have siblings who step out of the shadow of their famous sibling, like an Elizabeth Olsen or a Janet Jackson. Or maybe they just build a giant creepy empire together and help run the government. And sometimes we see people exploiting the success of their siblings or children. Like in my case, like whenever my family texts me stuff like, "We love you," and "We support you," like, you know, nice try guys, you're not getting any of that TikTok money. Now, Sarah Brightman is the oldest of 6 children, but the one we'll be focusing on today is named Amelia Brightman, her younger sister, by almost 20 years. She used to tour with Sarah as a background singer and a touring musician when Sarah was doing her big world tours. So where does Amelia fall on the "my sibling is famous" gradient? So when researching this video, initially I had kind of a hard time finding much of anything about Amelia, or especially anything concerning both Amelia and Sarah, because I thought I might find a video of them performing together. Even just Googling Amelia doesn't actually really get you too much. While she does have a hyperlink on Wikipedia, it links you to the band Gregorian, which we're going to get to in just a second. Even her like auto-generated thing on Google, that little square thingy, it's just a bio that was written for a Last FM article, but back in like 2009, so people just haven't really updated her information in a little while. I was able to find way more information about her from her personally on her Facebook and Instagram pages, and she's on both of those quite regularly. She shares updates about performances, pictures of her touring, but also pictures of her art, because apparently Amelia Brightman is training to be a tattoo artist. If this channel ever gets to 500,000 subscribers, I will personally fly to London and try to get a tattoo from Amelia Brightman, because I think that would be awesome. Peak life experience. But let's circle back to her music career. It was actually pretty difficult to find exactly when she started performing. What I could find is that she worked as a collaborator and a writer in a studio called Nemo Productions, headed by a guy named Frank Peterson. Sarah has also done some work with this studio in the past, so it's possible that her connections helped Amelia get a foothold in, but again, it's a little unclear. During this time at the studio, Amelia would write and collaborate with the studio artists, but also she became a singer and frontman for a group called Gregorian. And it's with Gregorian where Amelia had the bulk of her music career. She's been touring with them pretty regularly, on and off, for about 20 years. She's also credited as a writer for some of their songs, including one of their bigger hits called Moment of Peace, which was originally written to be performed by Sarah. And this is one of the only examples I could find of both of them singing the same song, or at least something where I could kind of link them musically. I couldn't find any videos of them performing together, which is kind of too bad. If you guys want to check out the 2 different versions of Moment of Peace, I'll put both of those links in the description below. So Amelia was involved with Sarah's tours as a backup singer and a background instrumentalist until about 2004, and it was around then when she really started touring more actively with Gregorian. Now, Nemo Productions, the studio where all this was happening, is based in Germany, and so Gregorian is a German-based group. They even stayed popular long enough through the 2000s to be the Eurovision entry for for Germany in 2016, which is a very interesting performance in which they have little laser fingers and they sing a song called Masters of Chant. Now, Gregorian kind of fell in the vein of the kind of opera, new age, spectacle stuff that was happening in the 2000s. So most of the performances I could find of Amelia doing anything live are with Gregorian. She also was often used as a spokesperson for the group, so there are many interviews with her from all over the world, like one in Israel, and then one that I found in Croatia, where I noticed a very interesting line. So now we do have to take a bit of a detour to kind of explore this idea, because I would not be the power chords you guys know and love without making time for Satan. Nemo production owner Frank Peterson thought of the idea for Gregorian when he was sitting in a church one day and he heard a Gregorian chanting choir somewhere in the church. And he thought of the idea for a dude group that would combine the harmony and the echoey churchy vibe of a Gregorian chant with pop covers. Which is an interesting idea. No one had done that yet. So these guys wear robes and they walk in lines and they actually do record in churches to get that echoey acoustic feel, but their connection to any kind of organized religion or any kind of actual spirituality ends there. And because of that, it's led the group to make some pretty interesting choices. Like a bunch of dudes dressed up as Gregorian monks singing "Losing My Religion." That's a choice. Now, Gregorian does have some original music, such as the previously mentioned Moment of Peace, written by Amelia Brightman for them, but like I'd say 90% of their work is pop covers. They have 8 albums called Masters of Chant, chapters 1 through 8, in which they just do a bunch of pop hits. I would say the novelty of hearing pop songs that you know and love sung in Gregorian chant style kind of wears off around the second album when they do In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins. But all of this is pretty innocuous, you know, and it doesn't really explain why an interview in Croatia felt that they had to say they weren't allowed to ask them about the devil's music. So I was actually able to find a blog post written in 2011 for a page called Clerical Whispers. In it, it mentions that the president of the Croatian Bishops' Conference is warning the people of Croatia to not go to this concert because of the devil's music performed by the Satanic band. In the statement released by the church, they mention one of their albums called The Dark Side of Chant, which is also their 13th album. Haha, that's pretty funny. So I looked up The Dark Side of Chant, and basically what it is it's Gregorian doing their thing, Gregorian chant style, singing covers of famous songs, but they're all like metal. In my opinion, the most offensive track on here by 1,000 miles is their cover of Bring Me to Life by Evanescence. Now, as far as I know, the performance in Croatia happened, and Croatia did not descend into Hades. Also, the weirdest, funnest fact for you guys is while Amelia Brightman does tour with them often, there are actually a ton of singers that tour with them. They like to switch out their frontmen now and then with Gregorian. Now, when Sarah Brightman performs with them, which happened a couple times, she likes to perform under an alias, and technically she actually has 2 aliases. She's either mentioned as Sarah Hellman or Hepzibah, which... like, I Googled this, you guys. I tried really hard. I went to at least the 3rd page of Google results to try to find the answers to this. And all I could find was, like, hashtags or very casual mentions to it in, like, Wikipedia articles. Like, that's not, like, some kooky shit that I need to know the reason why she decides she has to go under an alias. Because who's not gonna know that that's Sarah Brightman? I don't... It drives me nuts. I do not know why this has happened. Just like the Croatian priest said. So besides all this touring with Gregorian, Amelia has also released her own music. One album called The Fairest of Seasons and a single called Fly, both released in 2017. So I checked out the album and I think it's nice. There's a lot of pretty stuff on it. Her voice does at times remind me of Sarah Brightman's, where it's that kind of drifty soprano tone, but it also has a bit more warmth and edge to it than Sarah's, which does fit the more electronic pop genre that Amelia is trying to fit in. Her music is also pretty chill and ambient sometimes, and it really fits that kind of spiritual new age vibe that Gregorian and a lot of the groups in the 2000s kind of fit under. Look at her with her flowers in her hair and the nature. Enya who? Her work does very much contrast with Sarah's, pseudo-operatic style. So I guess it makes sense that there aren't any performances of them together, as they both very much went in their own directions career-wise. She's also clearly a person of many varied interests, and she clearly has given a lot of time to each of those interests without just being about music. And that's pretty cool. Amelia, if you ever see this, I think you're pretty cool. I'm really excited to get my tattoo from you. And also, I really liked your cover of Fix You by Coldplay. That was really pretty. Well, everybody, that's the end. Thank you so much for watching. Go tell your sibling that you love them. Even if they're, way less famous than you, they still matter. Kinda.